I know usually only women are allowed to call you like that, but welcome back, Mr. Cox.
Mr. Cox. Mr. Cox. Sometimes it sticks very well. Mr. Cox.
We are still in northern Italy. We are still in that beautiful mountain hut. It's
Month 5.
it's become cold outside. We are inside. That's the reason why it's cold in here as well. That window is open.
Interesting.
Good to know. But we have it nice and warm and cozy inside. So we're talking today about a extremely important topic in our perspective. Unfortunately, will probably be one of those topics that does get not the attention it should get or need, but we will do it nonetheless because the basic concept is well known, but there is a lot of nonsense being talked about or half-truth being spread out there. And to give you a very, very current example,
Now I immediately
You know what
realized which subject
you
this
know
is.
what comes.
Yes.
Exactly. So the topic of today is the truth about pH value. So
Yes.
very, very current example. So Pan, the organizer, recently brought out his own product line, and he then did a introduction video of his car shampoo, his soap. In that video, he mentioned that the soap is pH neutral. He tried to prove that by putting a pH paper in the bottle. And then shortly he said, look, it shows that it's neutral. And if you zoom in on that paper, you already see that this is not really the color that it should be if a chemical is pH neutral. It was more like 8 or 9 that got me curious. I looked into the material safety data sheet. In there it states 8.
And that's alkaline.
And 8 is not pH neutral. And Pan was made aware of that, and he defended it by saying 6 to 8 is still considered neutral. And by the way, DIY Detail, their shampoo, they also say it's neutral, has a pH value of 8.5. That got me curious again. I looked into that, and yes, on the DIY Detail homepage, they state that their shampoo is in fact pH neutral, but it has a pH value of 8.5. The safety data sheet is very interesting. It states a value of 6 to 10, which is very, very strange for a safety data sheet to state that. Yes, it's a very big range. I asked this question then in the DIY Detail Facebook group, asking, Ivan, what is up there? You state that it is pH neutral, but it has a pH value of 8.5, and the data sheet states something else. And I got a reply from Ivan, which was 6 to 9 is being considered as neutral. And that is the reason for this episode today, because I asked Reggie asked the lab guys, Reggie asked some other guys as well. And every single time we talked to chemists, those are the guys which studied that and got diplomas in that, we got the same answer, which is
7 is neutral, 701 is alkaline, and 6.99 is acidic.
Period.
That's it?
That's the definition. I would not have an issue if someone says his product is pH neutral if we talk about 6.8, 6.7, 7.2. I would not have an issue with that. But saying that something is neutral when it is 8 or 8.5 is just chemically and factually wrong. There's no other way of saying it.
It's a science for a reason. Science so we can measure specific, so we know exactly what is what. If you take another example, and if 6 indeed and 9 is indeed neutral, that means that 90 centimeters between 110 centimeters is a meter. 900 grams between 1100 grams is a kilo.
And it's
Very
just
simple.
not. It's just not.
It's not that. I know exactly what he means. I know 100% for sure what he means.
Me too, because what they probably mean is that the pH scale is logarithmic and that as long as we stay in those lower values, it's all pretty much the same. Or they mean that once you dilute it in the bucket, it becomes pH neutral. All true, but that is not what Pan stated in the video. Pan said, and I quote, this product in pure form is pH neutral.
Can we again?
And that's wrong.
Never, ever assume chemical advice from somebody that has not been to school or at university or whatever.
You know what would be really funny? If we could talk to the chemist who makes that shampoo and ask him the question.
You know what would be funny?
That would be funny.
I would, just like yes, you know, we like to show the people that are working with Labo and who are the people behind Labo, because we know that the lab guys is equally important as the developing.
Absolutely.
And everything. They are necessary in the chain. So you show these people, you introduce these people, this is the guy making the products. I had to do a show 2 weeks ago with a Dutch guy, and then Marco said to me, this is the chef. You have to invite him on stage and say to everybody, this is the chef that prepared the food to you, and then thank you to the chef. That's amazing. But you need to give them the recognition.
Yeah.
And if you are so proud, you cannot say that you made it. That would be very arrogant, because you cannot do the blending and everything. So you introduce the guy that made it possible. You're a brainchild.
That would be really funny, because I'm not sure if you ask the chemist that he would agree with a statement like 8 or 9 is neutral. So that's the reason we're doing this episode, but we're trying to stay positive by giving you the actual scientific facts about the pH value scale, so that that all of us together have a base on which we can build up.
Yeah.
That's the target of this episode.
Yeah.
So the pH scale, Reggie, what is the pH value, what is the pH scale, and how does it work on a general level?
Okay, so he says on a general level, not a chemist, so you can't assume that I'm speaking the truth. You have to verify this if what I'm saying is true. But pH stands for power or potential of hydrogen.
Yeah.
Small p, big H.
That's already controversial, because it was never really defined as that. That's how chemists agree that it is.
They have come to the
Yeah.
conclusion that
Yeah.
they can come on common
Yeah.
ground that it is either the power or the potential of
hydrogen.
And then with the hydrogen, meaning that there are ions, I don't know what ions are, but the ions moving freely through a diluted through water solution.
Yeah.
And the more of those ions are moving freely, the higher the pH, positive ions in this case. And if there are negative ions, we are going into the acidic range, where then the ions mobility is measured in a lower pH. And that's
exactly.
it.
And that's
Ions.
There is a mathematical formula, which we will not go into, it's complicated. And the pH value that results out of the activity of those hydrogen ions then gives us the pH value. It is the negative logarithm of the potential of the hydrogen. And that gives us a scale, which goes from 0 to 14,
Yep.
and 7 is in the middle.
Yes.
Now, already one very important aspect, 0 and 14 are not technically the endpoints of that scale. There are products, there are ingredients, there are raw materials which have a lower or higher pH value. Those are extremes. They don't exist that often. In nature, for example, you find very low negative pH values in volcanic environments. They exist. And if you look at the Koch Chemie range, for example, they have chemicals with a negative pH value. Every one of you can look that up. But that's already very technical. Let's assume we stay between the most common cases, 0 and 14.
Mm-hmm.
The middle of that is 7, and 7 is, as we just stated at the beginning of this podcast, 7 is considered to be pH neutral.
Neutral.
Everything
Exactly in the middle.
Everything above, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 is
Alkaline.
alkaline, that's what it's called. And everything below, meaning 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0 is
Acidic.
acidic. That's up until that point, I think most people will know those facts. Well, everything we talk about now is less commonly known, but extremely important.
Yes.
The most important thing that I think everyone needs to know is it's not a linear scale.
No.
So it's not that it's getting linearly more acidic or alkaline. It's exponential. It's the logarithmic scale.
Just
so
like
it's
decibels.
It's the 10th potence of it. Meaning, if we start at 7 and go to 8, that solution, with a pH of 8, is 10 times more alkaline than 7. If we go to 9, it multiplies by 10, meaning we have a solution which is 100 times more alkaline. And that goes on, meaning if we are at 11, it's 1,000 times. If we are at 12, it's 10,000 times. If we are at 13, it's already 100,000?
A lot.
Correct?
Even more.
Correct? No, we skipped, I think we skipped one. 7 to 8 is 10. 9 is 100. 10 is 1,000. 11 is 10,000. 12 is 100,000. 13 is 1,000,000. Now it's correct. And 14 is 10 million times more alkaline than the base, the neutral one.
Yeah.
10 million.
To give it an exact number of a formula
Exactly.
in this. Yeah.
And with the acidic one, it's the other way round. As the more we go towards 0, it's 10 million times more acidic than pH neutral. What this means for you in practice is this. If you have a concentrated chemical with a pH value of 13, you would need to dilute that by 1 to 1,000,000 to get back to a neutral value. So we would have to put a few drops of that chemical into a swimming pool in order to get it neutral again.
Yeah.
That's very important because there are people out there who are using extremely aggressive degreasers or APCs on the inside of a car on very delicate materials. And when you usually ask them, is that a good idea? They always say, I diluted, it's okay. And when you ask them by how much, they say, well, 1 to 10. 1 to 10, theoretically, now that you know that, means you're going from pH 13 to pH 12. So still very, very, very high.
Very high pH. pH didn't change that much.
No. If you want to have it neutral, you would have to dilute it 1 by 1,000,000. And at that point, it is questionable if that chemical even does anything.
It could be doing nothing at that dilution.
Exactly. So it's a logarithmic scale, and that's the most important thing to know. However, being a logarithmic scale is a theoretical concept because there are some limiting factors to that. There's a thing that's called buffer solutions, and buffer solutions mean that if you have a chemical which is at, let's say, pH 10, it means it stays relatively long there if you dilute it by little. You can maybe dilute it by 1 to 10 and it still is at 10, the pH value, maybe 1 to 20, it still is there. And at one point, the pH value changes drastically. So a buffer solution balances a certain pH level out, and at the end of the scale or at the end of the buffering solution, the pH values start to drop drastically. There's an example in nature. Some rivers react rather strongly and quickly to acidic rain, and some rivers don't because they have stuff in them which acts as a buffer, which keeps the pH value constant, which is important for the sea life that's in there.
Absolutely.
For the fish and for the algae and so on. So there is a thing like that that's called buffer solutions, which prevents pH values from dropping or from getting too high in a water solution. There's also a thing when you have ready-to-use products, which means they are pre-diluted, they are set to be at a certain pH level.
Yeah.
But if you start to dilute those products, the pH value drops or gains quicker, much quicker.
Yes, because the amount of product necessary to create that alkalinity is lower in a ready-to-use product compared to a concentrate. Exactly. But it needs to be more, so it still is potent at higher dilutions.
So, meaning if you have a ready-to-use product, which is at a pH of 10, it could be that you dilute it by 1 to 5 and it is already very close at neutral.
Yeah.
That could be. That has to do with the concentration of chemicals in those products. What's also interesting is a pH value is temperature dependent.
Yes.
Water already fluctuates rather quickly between 7.5 and 6.5 depending on the temperature. That's why in most serious safety data sheets, not in all, they state the pH value of a chemical at a given temperature, usually 20 degrees. Yes. Exactly.
Because increasing energy into the solution, increasing the temperature, makes the molecules, in this case the hydrogen ions, move faster and therefore giving a higher reading on the pH level scale. Yeah. Exactly, so that's also important. And pH, if you talk about dilutions, if you dilute a concentrated product, the resulting pH value is also water dependent. Depending on the hardness of the water, Yes, you
there
have to
can
count them,
result
yes.
different pH values.
It's often that you have to increase the dilution with harder water to generate the same potency with
Yeah.
the softer water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And some brands, some manufacturers, some chemists account for that from the get-go. So they include something in those chemicals that compensate for that. Some don't. So there's also some fluctuation with the water itself. So that's the facts. That's the scientific facts about chemistry and how the pH scale works. And let's now talk about what all of this means.
Yes.
Because that's also very important. There is a tendency in the detailing industry to overstate the importance of pH values. And that's something you tell people a lot.
Yes, for they judge the level of pH for the causticity of or the corrosiveness of a product. And that is false, because it tells us the ions moving freely in that dilution.
Yep.
It doesn't tell us how aggressive it is.
Yep.
I have seen very interesting sayings that to remove water spots you need a pH of exactly 4 or else it doesn't work. Stuff like this, that causticity and corrosiveness goes with pH level. Now, if you look very closely at the Neve shampoo, it is pH neutral, also in the MSDS.
Neve is your
snow foam,
neutral
neutral snow foam.
Yep.
If you see the danger signs, it has the corrosive causticity on a pH neutral product. So
a pH neutral product can still be corrosive.
absolutely, absolutely, because it has nothing to do with the pH. It has to do with the ingredients or the sodiums or the hydrogen acids or the hydrochloric acids. Those are the ones that have the corrosivity, but that is not being measured through the alkaline or the acidic. That's a different test.
Yep.
They use it then on substrates, and they see the reaction of the alkaline solution on aluminum, on stone, on all different surfaces, and then find out the level of causticity.
Yeah, and that's one issue already that you see a lot in detailing groups or in comments on the videos. When someone asks what type of shampoo should I get for example, a ceramic coated car, and then many people always say, doesn't matter as long as it is pH neutral. And that sentence alone already is problematic. There are pH neutral shampoos which are abrasive. Not a good idea to use on ceramic coatings.
No, the pH level is not the reason why you use the shampoo. The shampoo is why you use to reduce the friction with lubrication. So
true. And there are also pH neutral shampoos which have additives which could cover up a coating or clog up a coating, reducing hydrophobicity. So
surfactants sticking to the coating.
The main message here is the pH value alone doesn't tell you too much about a chemistry.
It just tells you how alkaline or how acidic a solution is.
Exactly.
And then performance, detergent power, all these things are not measured through pH.
That being said, it does give you some information, because you said it correctly in the beginning. As long as we stay within the lower values around 7, so as long as we talk about, let's say, between 5 and 9, the differences are not that much. As soon as we go up or down, so as soon as we talk about extreme pH values, that does tell you something about the ingredients and therefore also the characteristics of a product. With highly alkaline and highly acidic products, you should in general be cautious. Yeah. Let's call it like that.
Yeah, you can take then, you already know, even regardless of what pH it is, that you should not drink it. That is
for example.
Probably one of the most common known things that you cannot do with chemicals. You cannot drink that.
Exactly. And you should also be careful with how long you leave it on certain materials.
Yes.
You should also be careful with, it's probably not a good idea to pour it onto the ground. It's bad for the environment. Extreme pH values, you need to be cautious. That's always. Definitely true.
Always. But mostly for yourself.
The more important aspect here is the pH value. There is no such thing as a bottle of pH 13. That doesn't exist. The pH value is always a result of the ingredients of a product.
Yes.
Always. You cannot buy a bottle of pH 13. Doesn't exist.
I believe I'm not even 100% sure. I will verify this for the future, but I believe Giacomo tells me that any alkaline product they make starts as an acid.
Interesting. Already.
When they begin mixing, it's an acid, and they end up finally with a very alkaline product.
Also very interesting. there are ways of making products, especially wheel cleaners, acidic without using acids. You can also use salts to make it acidic. That's why some brands can give you acidic wheel cleaners but still say on the label that they are acid-free because they use salts.
Smart.
Chemistry is very interesting, and that's why it's so important to know this stuff. But as we said, alkaline and acidic products can still be safe. Case in point, your two products for the 3 pH system, Primus 2.0 and also Purifica.
Yep.
Purifica has a pH value of 0 to 1.
Yep.
Very, very, very acidic product. However, it got the VDA label of A.
Yes, but the A is not the grade, A is the category.
Exactly.
A is acids and alkalines, and B is neutral products.
So the VDA is the Verband der deutschen Automobilindustrie in German, or the, how do you say it? The Organization of German Automotive Manufacturers. And you can send, as a chemical company, you can send your products there, and they test it on all the samples of materials of cars which they have.
Automotive industry substrates being used. Substrates being used in the automotive industry.
Exactly, and they test it on those materials, and if your chemistry does not create any damages there, the pure chemical, right? Not the diluted one, the pure chemical.
Yeah, you go for the most concentrated version of the chemical, and that is then the
They
pure
test
product.
it, and if it does not create any damages on any of those materials, then you get that label. So it's a very serious test.
Yes, it's, the VDA is more an extension of the ISO, so it goes further into detail into specific parts of the automotive industry, where they test material safety, tool safety, tunnel car washes. They help them with making the dimensions in the software for the newer cars. And there you can put it up to the test. You always pay the money, and if you succeed, you get the certificate. And you can also pay the money, and if you don't succeed, you don't get the certificate, but you still have to pay the money. And we do this to prove that outside of ourselves, we prove that there is a body that can test these things, and that you can put it up to the test to prove that material safety is there.
Yep.
And that is also immediately how we said that pH level doesn't mean anything, because indeed, if Purifica is indeed, it's true, 0 to 1 in pH, and it doesn't harm naked aluminium, and you have hydrochloric acid that has a pH of 2, and it literally burns in front of your eyes through the aluminum, and then you have something with a lower pH that does nothing, and something with a higher pH that burns through.
Exactly.
And these two levels, not saying, this again proves that the amount of acidicness is the pH level, but the corrosiveness comes from something else.
I wouldn't agree with you when you say that the pH value doesn't tell you anything. It does tell you some things, but not everything, and especially not about the safeness of a product.
No,
not conclusively.
No, definitely not.
What is also interesting, in theory, you could mix a chemical with pH of 13 and a chemical with a pH of 1, and the resulting solution should be theoretically pH neutral.
It's possible,
and theoretically, you also should be able to drink that solution. I would not recommend it, but
no,
theoretically.
For sure that surfactants then will still be there. The death of the chemistry will still be there. You will still die, but not with burning anymore, just by toxification. Yes, that's definitely...
But there it now gets interesting. There are interesting cases out there in the industry, namely ChemX has their Stars and Stripes system, where you have a very acidic chemical, which they say you have to apply first, wait a short time, and then apply a very, very alkaline product, and they neutral each other out, but the side effect of them creates some sort of a shock and the cleaning power. I'm not entirely convinced that this system A works and B is as harmless as they say, because I can never make sure that every single drop of chemical which lands on the car is also then hit by another drop of the other chemical. I'm not sure about that, but the important thing is, yes, you can neutral out chemicals, but not without side effects.
No, there will be some reaction. Good, positive, sometimes negative.
Exactly. Sometimes it's gases.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's temperature changes. There will always be a side reaction, because this neutralization has to happen with something.
Yes.
And there are horror stories. Herwig Grabner from Ledermax told me this. Every tannery can tell you from its history a horror story, because through the tannery process, there's one step right at the beginning where they throw the hides of the cows in very, very highly alkaline solutions in order to get them to swell up and also to lose the hair that is still on there. And there have been cases in which there has been some sort of accident, and in those huge drums where there's this highly alkaline solution, there was acids involved also getting in there, which creates the side effect of gases which then collect on the bottom of those huge halls where the tanneries are in. They start rising, and then you realize that by losing your sense of smell. Then you get unconscious, then you drop to the floor, then it kills your ability to breathe, and then you're done. Every big tannery has had instances in the past where a lot of people died because of that, and that already tells you enough about the seriousness of mixing chemicals and mixing the wrong chemicals.
Yes, please don't do it.
No, especially not the highly alkaline and highly acidic ones. That's again why it's so important for us to talk about this stuff. There won't be much of an issue if you mix certain quick detailers, because they usually don't have high or low pH values. But if you mix strong chemicals, it's not a good idea. It simply is not a good idea.
No. Can become very potentially dangerous.
You also had a story, right, in your past?
Yes, it was also with my limited chemistry brain. I was thinking, indeed, I have had to use a stainless steel cleaner that was extremely acidic and toxic and deadly because it had the skull on it. And I knew that this product was going all over the place, and I was washing the machine for the car wash, and then I was putting on some very cheap alkaline pre-cleaner. And the negative side effect, yes, there was a neutralization going on, but there was also ammonia gas forming in a car wash that was already running. So I had to open up the car wash, get everybody outside, put on the wind tunnel and clear the area from the gases. And everything went well, of course, but this was what I thought with 1 or 2 year high school chemistry that you can do by, let's just neutralize this and do like nothing ever happened. And the idea was good, but the outcome was absolutely super stupid.
So be careful with those extreme values. Another interesting thing to know is all of this only accounts for water solutions, water-based solutions.
Yeah.
You cannot measure a pH value for solvent-based solutions.
So, most of the time, no. But there is a possibility. There are ceramic coatings that have a pH registration with the solvent inside. And that I only know this because I have seen MSDSs where it's on there.
Okay, interesting.
But not in that range of what they have. They can have a pH.
Usually, it's only the water-based solutions. But maybe more interesting for the people is, what does this all boil down to, or when do I use what? And I think that's more tangible for the practical use of those chemicals. Can we split it up? We first talk about the alkaline products. What usually are products which are alkaline on the alkaline side? Can you name a few?
Pre-washes.
Yep.
Leather cleaners.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, it's not a good thing then, but they are. APCs.
Yep. Insect bug removers.
Fabric cleaners.
Yep.
I know for sure because there's only one acidic one.
By Labo Cosmetica, that's what he's hinting to. Yeah.
Sneak commercial.
Okay. So generally we say alkaline products are good for removing organic stuff, meaning
stuff from living matter or former living matter or derived from living matter, and that counts also for oil, dinosaurs, living matter, organic. Yep. And that everything from organic out, and then also not saying the dissolvation action, but the detergents that are alkaline have the tendency to lift stuff from the surface, making it a rinsable solution.
By emulsifying that's the technical term. They emulsify stuff, and then it can be washed out with water. Yeah, that's the alkaline stuff.
That's alkaline. It's a complete alkaline reagent. You never have to try anything inorganic with alkaline. You could try with mechanical action, but you don't have to use chemicals. It's not going to work.
Exactly.
None of you use a dishwashing detergent to get the lime off the faucet in the bathroom. None of you. And so none of you do it successfully.
Very, very practical thing. If you know that, tree sap, for example, is organic.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a tree sap remover, most of them are solvent-based, what would be the next best thing is a strongly alkaline product,
Yes.
not an acidic one.
No.
That's why it's so interesting to know this stuff, because it can answer your own questions. I have a tree sap issue, I don't have a tree sap remover, what can I use instead? Good to know.
Yeah.
So organic stuff, alkaline, which means the opposite, inorganic stuff, acidic.
Non-living matter that has never lived or will ever live or comes
Yep.
from any living substance in the
Yep.
world. From iron to lime to calcium to potassium, magnesium, sodium. All these parts coming from that's inorganic, non-living. And
So,
that is the
meaning-
only thing that works with acidic.
Meaning which products usually are acidic? Water spot removers,
Definitely water spot removers.
lime scale removers,
Decontamination shampoos.
decontamination shampoos, yeah.
Not 100% super acidic, but the wheel cleaners are often
Some of them, yes.
nigh to the
Yep.
6.6,
Yep.
6.7, dus in
Yep.
the neutral region,
Yep.
or neutral performance region, of pH region, sorry. What else?
I think those are the most important ones.
Yeah.
Wheel cleaners are actually a very good case in point to talk about. There are different ways of attacking problems. There are the wheel and tire cleaners, very popular in the US and the UK, which are usually alkaline, highly alkaline stuff. Dedicated tire cleaners are actually very, very alkaline stuff. They usually have really high pH values. They need it in order to clean
Biting,
those surfaces.
strong biting action.
Yep.
Biting action.
Yep.
High alkaline, strong.
So
biting
there are
action.
those wheel and tire cleaners. Then we have the highly or strongly acidic wheel cleaners, which are very good at removing baked-in brake dust, because that's inorganic stuff. And then there's the pH neutral or close to pH neutral wheel cleaner with the reactive ingredient in there. So those wheel cleaners which turn purple or red or blue when they react.
Yeah.
Very interesting, most of those wheel cleaners are pH neutral when they start, but as soon as you spray them on, as soon as this reaction takes place, they change their pH value into acidic.
Yeah.
That's also very interesting because you can catch a lot of people off guard when they say, which iron remover can I use on a ceramic coated car? Just use a pH neutral one. They all start at a pH neutrality, but they all turn acidic once they react. Interesting to know. Yep,
It's
wheel
going to-
cleaners, good example.
Yeah, it's going to narrow it down which type of a cleaner you are going to use. So I have seen cases where somebody said they have a certain situation. You see them attack it with everything. So tar, they have said with tar, for example, they have said, well, I've tried APC rinseless, I've tried pre-wash, I've tried this and I've tried that, and all these things don't come to the source of what tar is. Tar is coming from bitumen. Bitumen is solvent-based. So solvent-based needs a solvent-based cleaner.
Exactly.
Toluene from tire glue remover, anything, and alcohols are solvents, so they need a glue to keep a glue liquid.
Yep.
or viscous. The
Yep.
solvent is still there and the solvent evaporates,
Yep.
so the same solvent or the solvent region should then
Yep.
be able to use. And
That's
that narrows
where-
down your cleaner.
That's where these solvent-based cleaners come into play, exactly. So very good example that I see often, where we can go through and think what actually happens. Cement droplets on a car. So what is cement?
Minerals,
What should I use with minerals?
acidic.
Good. That's why there are cement removers out there which are usually strong acids. If you don't have a cement remover, what can you use instead?
A hammer and chisel.
You can, but then I'll slap you so hard that you will forget about everything that we just talked about. Highly acidic stuff, water spot removers and decontamination shampoos, you can try that.
Of course.
Highly acidic wheel cleaners may also work. So
Don't try Purifica. I know for sure that's never
Yep.
going to work. In
Yep.
Ergo, you might have a shot.
Maybe.
But you will have to go to a Mafra range where there is a line of products, ChemSolve, Resolver,
Yep.
that blows your mind. They are actually the grandfathers of the existing Purifica in Ergo.
I think we tell it in every single episode. Knowledge is power, and if you know this stuff, you can answer your own questions that you come across in detailing. It's
Narrowing
amazing.
down the problem.
It's amazing. So let's in the last couple of minutes in this podcast, let's talk about pH values and protective products. Because in the olden days, I'm thinking back 5, maybe 10 years ago, every single one told you if your car is protected, you should always use pH neutral products. pH neutral soaps, pH neutral snow foams. I mean, excluding the case of abrasive shampoos, because there aren't that many around. But that was the tip. Why was that tip there? Because back then, the protective products were not that resistant. And then what happened? Influencers happened who did chemical resistancy tests. And the manufacturers are not dumb. They saw those tests, so what did they do? They made their products, their protective products, more chemically resistant.
Yes, and it still doesn't make any sense because you have a very strong low pH versus high pH protective layer on your car, and then you have to clean it with that what is
true
neutral, and then assuming that that coating or that protective layer is never going to get dirty.
True, because most coating companies tell you that their coating is safe between a certain pH range, 2 to 13 for example, so why should you use a pH neutral shampoo? Doesn't
make any sense. You have now the opportunity, because of this protective layer, to attack it with these chemicals to clean that car and that coating a lot better.
We don't say it's a bad idea to use a pH neutral shampoo on a coated car. It's a good idea. Do it. But if you need more strength because the car is very dirty, by all means use more strength.
Yeah. You have now the opportunity because you have a highly protective layer on your car, and you can now use some potent shampoos to get that clean.
The beautiful thing is it's not only ceramic coatings, spray sealants, waxes, they all have become chemically more resistant, which means the days of the pH neutral snow foams are counted. They're gone. You don't need it anymore.
No.
That's where products like Primus 2.0 from Labo comes in, which has a pH of, 12?
11.
In concentrated form?
11.
11? So once you spray it on the car, it's maybe at 9 or 10, which is completely safe for, I would say, 90% of protective products out there.
Yeah, as long as you don't touch it.
Exactly. As long as you use it as a pre-wash.
Yes, if you start rubbing it during an
organic,
you can remove an organic wax with the mechanical friction of the wash.
And another very interesting and important chemical principle to look into is Sinner's circle. Look into that. Every chemical process consists always of 4 parts: chemistry, temperature, mechanical abrasion, and time. Every single chemical process.
And if
you use just the chemistry, you're fine. If you use it together with abrasion, maybe not.
Yeah. Or you increase the potency by reducing dilution and increasing friction.
Maybe we will do a podcast in the future about Sinner's circle. I will take a note.
Yes, but we will add the other one, because we will create the new one made by Dino Carrosseria or Dino van Middendorp from the Netherlands, calling this new Sinner's circle, where we add the most important part of that experience, and that's namely the user.
Stupidity?
No, the user itself. Yeah. The user.
True.
The success of the product lies in the hands of the user.
True. But going back to the pH scale and pH values. Now, knowing that all protective products have become more chemically resistant, that's where things like your 3 pH system come into play. And my God, this is a podcast which is presented by Labo Cosmetica, so I think it's only fair that you get some time to talk about the 3 pH system, what it is, why it exists, and when is it sensible to use it.
Yeah, so the idea of the 3 pH came also from you have this protective layer that should be able to take on chemicals from this safe range from acidic to alkaline.
Ceramic coatings.
And then ceramic coatings, and then you have to take care of it with neutral and a very large amount of topping products to keep that ceramic alive. There came that idea of the 3 pH. Now, the use of 3 pH is nothing new. That has been done very long time. Also
your breast is swelling when you tell that, so we need to make it more space. No, it's because of the microphone.
I will lean off a little bit. And the concept of using multiple pH level shampoos is already very old. Only for the maintenance and decontamination of ceramic coating, the 3 pH of Labo is new. In the former car wash, they were being used to spool is the Dutch word, but to rinse off surfactants from a very strong surfactant holding pre-cleaner in this very caustic region of the alkaline. Yeah. If then the wax is neutral or the wax is also alkaline, you have less adherence. So in between there could be a foam that is acidic purely to wash off the surfactants from the pre-wash, making the car then clean from surfactants to take on either a drying aid, a wax, or the next step in the washing sequence. That's where 3 pH came from. Now, to use it as 3 different pHs to decontaminate and maintain and revive a ceramic coating In that concept, 3pH is new. This is also the only 3pH. There's no other 3pH. There's only this 3pH. It's been copied many times before with different names and products. I'm very honored.
Because you guys were sneaky enough to patent the term 3pH.
It's registered same as 2pH, also registered.
So no other brand can use the term.
You cannot recreate it.
They may have products which can do similar stuff, but they are not allowed to use the term.
No, they cannot.
3pH.
You know, we have shown with Purifica. There's nobody even close to that product.
I know. So, but to be fair, they have similar products.
Yes, also different levels of pH.
Yeah.
And there came that idea to use these 3pH or to maintain a ceramic coating. So before that Labo Cosmetica even started to really develop ceramic coatings, we invented the 3pH first. And how do you test a ceramic coating maintenance product, soap, range, when you don't have ceramic coatings from yourself? You buy the competitor. So we already knew that it worked on everybody else before we even started making our own ceramic coatings. And therefore, when it got launched, it was also contradicting and a big punch because you didn't need the topping products anymore, or you extended the time before you need those topping products very, very longly, and therefore maximizing what the ceramic coating was actually born for.
Yeah.
Because the neutral product cannot take off minerals, and the neutral product cannot take off strong organic contamination in the form of bug impacts and everything.
Yeah.
So therefore, there needs to be an alkaline product for that and an acidic product for the other range. Yeah. And those were the ground reasons to make these 3 shampoos.
You know what the funny thing is? If this would be a training situation, I would now turn to the audience and ask them, we told you everything you need to know. And now you explain us how we use in which order the 3pH system. You should know it by now, but please go ahead and explain how you use it actually.
So we have the original 3pH was Primus Purifica Semper. Very fast. Primus pre-wash, rinse off. Alkaline. Purifica foam on the car.
Acidic.
Make a bucket of Semper shampoo and wash it.
pH neutral.
While wash Purifica off the car with Semper while the foam is on the car. Yeah. Now we found out that even though how great Primus of course is, there is the difficulty removing strong static dirt in the form of smog. Traffic film. That will always stick. That therefore, the inner circle will always need mechanical action, level of friction we will debate about, but will always need. There is no such thing as touchless cleaning. I proved this, and when you do a Primus pre-wash, even in the highest concentration and there's still traffic film left, that means that if you are going to use Purifica, it's going to also react with the traffic film that is still sacrificial.
By the way, also Chemex Stars and Stripes is not 100% a touchless system.
No, there needs to be, there will be situations where it is indeed touchless.
Absolutely.
But what you see online with the big before and after, no, there will always be, and I proved this during training where they show with a tissue, there's a little bit of traffic film left. When that level of traffic film after that pre-wash is so high, then you need to do a contact wash. And you can choose with a high traffic film to make a 1:100 Primus bucket, an alkaline shampoo that is lubricating enough to be treated as a shampoo, or you switch to Semper with a low traffic film with a dilution of 1:1000.
Which is the pH neutral.
With a neutral, you make the contact wash, and from that point, you will make the assessment if your coating or your protection is back alive. So you will
Meaning it beats as it beaded on day 1.
Exactly, until you achieve the original beads back. And when that is not the case, then we know, okay, now we are going to move in Purifica range. But we are exhausting the reason to use Purifica all the time, because then it becomes a system, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. We are now 5 years underway. Yeah. People can now judge by the assessment, depleting the possibilities of Primus and Semper before you are going to use Purifica. And I'm now almost 11,000 kilometers, and this week I will add 1,500 kilometers extra. And I'm still waiting for the real Purifica use. I've used Purifica now 1 to 400 in a bucket as a one wash, just in between. And now I am going to see after this drive how much is necessary if I need to use the Purifica.
Because the explanation is after you removed everything that is on the car organically, there could be the case that you see the hydrophobics of the coating have not yet fully returned, which either means the coating is clogged with something still, the coating is dead or gone or reduced.
Or destroyed.
Exactly. You have those two possibilities. And with the additional step of Purifica, you remove mineral deposits, which would also be on your car if it was not coated. Exactly. But in this case, it is coated and clogs up the coating. So by removing those minerals, you are making sure to know for a fact that the coating is either dead or revived. Because There is, and I have seen so many cases, and that's why it's, to be perfectly honest, Purifica is the reason why I decided to partner with you guys and why we do this podcast, because it's such an amazing and almost magical product.
Yeah.
That if you see it with your own eyes, that a coating is dead after you washed it, and then use Primus, and then it just magically returns the hydrophobics of it, is just amazing.
Yeah,
it's absolutely amazing.
And it's good because we proven through this system for many other brands other than Labo Cosmetica that their ceramic was absolutely fantastic by itself.
Yep.
It didn't even need the topping products suggested by the manufacturer. It extended lifetimes.
Yep.
I have done demonstrations with detailers, and I saw a situation and he was doing a maintenance, and I said, can I step in and take over with Labo Cosmetica? He saw it for the first time, and that's the difference between me and a YouTuber. You have the luck that you also visit your trainees and stuff like that. But to see that face that I made probably also when I saw Purifica for the first time when Marco showed it, and then I can see somebody else making the same face after he sees that magical thing happen. That is the difference between a like, a subscribe, and a comment, and actually looking somebody in the face and see the surprising and the gratitude of what you are offering that he's now able to take into his arsenal.
And all the other acidic shampoos out there, Capro D-Scale, Kochchemy RS, all the other ones out there came after you guys introduced that. All the other brands were followers in that respect.
And I hope that one day somebody will come and will kick the living shit out of Purifica. So we have to step up the game again.
I have not yet seen it.
That would be amazing.
I have not yet seen it. So what you gave us with the 3pH system is a way of reviving, resurrecting, declogging or unclogging ceramic coatings and bringing them back without the need of toppers. Because if you think about it, what we did before was we applied a ceramic coating, it became clogged up with mineral deposits, and then we applied a topper, meaning what we did was coating, minerals, topper.
Yeah.
Coating, minerals,
covering
topper.
The dirt. Dirty. Covering the dirty.
We were pretty much doing exactly the same as if the car was not coated.
Yes.
Which is
making
stupid.
the entire
Which is
ceramic
just
coating
stupid.
idea totally obsolete because then if you can kill it in 3 months. In 3 months you can kill ceramic coating easily by not doing anything, having heavy rains, slashing. If it's in the winter, you can kill it in less than a winter. So easily it's killed. But if you truly believe it's killed and you say, okay, I need either reapplication or topping product, but you don't know, and then you have 3pH, and 3pH says, I'm going to take that off. I'm going to take that right off.
And again, you guys now know everything about the pH scale to understand that and see what the value is in knowledge, and the knowledge especially about the pH scale. You also did then a follow-up thing, which is your 2pH interior cleaning or fabric cleaning system. Which
same
is
concept.
Also very interesting.
Only we found out during the research that
and now this comes into play.
Yes, this is exactly what happens. What we found out is that the most contamination inside of the car is dust. We found out that 70% of the dust is inorganic. Then we bring in mixtures of inorganic and organic. This is a perfect solution. Right now we have a can of Red Bull in my hand. This Red Bull in a liquid form contains a lot of water. When I pour this substance over a sheet or a fabric, the water is going to evaporate and we get a mixture of inorganic and organic on top of each other. Yeah. Now we have understood through the pH scale that we need inorganic and acid to get removed from each other. Yeah. What you see in front of here is the encapsulation of something that could happen because of sugar. Sugar being the inorganic.
You need to explain
for
the listeners.
I'm always forgetting what the American name is for this stone, but the barnstone with a mosquito inside from Jurassic Park, describing the inorganic, covering the organic, so the sugar is covering the cheese or something, say it something like that, and you are attacking this with alkaline, and you do not break the shell. And that's where Glico came in and said, okay, here.
Glico is your acidic fabric cleaner.
Exactly.
The only one in the world right now.
At this moment. And that gave us the opportunity to free this inorganic, freeing then the organic, and then the... No, I have to...
You're losing your voice?
No, mate. I'm getting old, I'm losing a nose here.
No, it has been a long 3 days for us. We have recorded, I think we are now at 16 or 17 episodes of podcast. So our voices are pretty much gone.
There's a nose hair. It sometimes flies out of my throat. because I'm getting so old and I'm losing hair in many different places.
We don't want you to elaborate on that. Focus on the mosquito thing.
Sorry, I was almost dying. I'm eating a cookie now to hopefully take off the hair. We might have to cut this out.
So what you did basically was use the same principles that you applied on the outside also for fabrics. It's important to understand that's a fabric cleaning solution.
Fabrics,
because
yes.
You usually have those contaminations inside the fabrics, right?
Yes.
And that's where traditional fabric cleaning systems fail. And the classic case in point is you clean a seat with an extractor, with an alkaline fabric cleaner. It dries up and you still have those white markings there.
Typical inorganic contamination that revealed itself during the drying phase, what was also the nightmare. The only thing that changed was that we had to find, of course, an acidic or an acid that is strong enough to take on that dust and that inorganic contamination on the seat, but is respecting the surface that is being treated. Yeah. And then we found two acids in skincare products, very well known. The lactic acid and the glycolic acid, therefore derived the name Glico, and that became the acidic fabric cleaner. Yeah.
And the beautiful thing is, I mean, your alkaline APC ductile is amazing, but people can also use their favorite alkaline fabric cleaner and just get Glico. It works still.
The only thing changes, you can attend the most fantastic course about the 2 pH with Franco, and now you have an entire day and he will get you through everything. I have to ram it in most of the time in an hour, but the only thing that you need to know is if you want to use Glico, you already do everything. You vacuum. You blow out, or you vacuum, blow out, vacuum. You add Glico, 1 to 5, 1 to 10. You wait, or you rub with the brush, whatever you like, and you suck out without water. And then you continue with your normal system, and that's it. That's basically it.
Yeah, you can use Glico at the end to accelerate the drying of the fabric.
Also to take off strong surfactants.
And also, if you do that, the fabric is left very, very soft and subtle.
Fluffy. It's almost... It's cleaning by definition because we are taking off anything that should not be there. But the revive of the fabric, the fluffiness is almost like a restoration.
Especially impressive with Alcantara.
Yes.
Alcantara steering wheels get really good if you use Glico. Yeah. So there you see the magic of the pH scale. And we hope, I mean, it was a long episode, it was a technical episode, but it is so important that you understand. If you have understood this, you can answer your own questions. As we said, the pH scale is pretty much the first chemical concept I introduce in all my trainings because you have to understand that. You absolutely have to.
You need to narrow down to get to the solution. If you understand that a white spot on a car, if it is not removed alkaline, then you have to go into another range. You go to acidic. If you cannot assume that it's lime, you go to acidic. Acidic doesn't do anything. Okay, now we're going to solvent-based. Solvent-based doesn't do anything. And then there's the final one, that is the cleaning through abrasions, where you just literally you polish it off. Cleaning through abrasion.
In the best case scenario, it saves you time. Instead of throwing 50 different products at the issue at hand, you just use the ones that you have: alkaline, acidic, solvent, abrasion.
Yeah, in those steps. This is the shortest way and the safest way and the cheapest way.
Exactly.
Very good. Good positive end.
I think this is the first episode where we don't have to end on a positive note because it was positive from the get-go.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for explaining all of that. That was a really, really good episode. I like this one.
Keep checking, keep verifying. Do not assume.
Yeah, and don't let anyone tell you that between 6 and 9 is neutral.
No.
Because it's not.
A chemist can tell you.
It's just simply
not.
And with that, we will end now.
Yeah.
Reggie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you have watched the episode in video form, thank you for watching. If you have listened to the podcast, thanks for listening. And we hope to see you for the next episode, which we will again tease, because the title of that one is "Why Are German Detailers Such a Pain in the Ass?" That will be a good one. Thanks. Bye.
Ciao.